go through some tools, and we are going to thread our machine today. If this is your first time here, hey, I am Fatasia, and I am doing a Learn How to Sew in 2 Week series. So if you haven't seen the first video, go and watch the first video. It'll give you an intro and an idea of what we're going to embark on over the next couple of videos. And if that's your cup of tea, hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you know when I'm making new videos. So we're going to hop right into it today. I want to try to keep these videos short and concise, so I'm going to try not to ramble too much. So let's jump right into our tools that we're going to need as a beginner sewist. Alright y'all, so I'm going to go through the tools now. This is things you need to start your sewist journey. I will put a link in the description to my Amazon storefront so you can find an easy place to get them. They're also available at Joann's for however long they're going to be with us, prayerfully. So we'll just go through each one. So the first thing that you need to acquire is some pins. I don't know if you can see that. Pins. Oh, it's okay, very bright. There we go. I like to use these quilter pins with the little balls on them. I think they're easy. Also a magnet. Magnet is very helpful. You can also use a pin cushion, but I'm a magnet girl. I think it's just great. But if you drop them, it makes a mess, but the magnet helps clean it up. So pins. If you choose to do so, you could use clips, little clips instead of pins. I use them both. I think clips are a little bit more beginner friendly, but for when it comes to pins and clips, I'm just like dive into the deep end, get used to using the pins, but you don't have to. That's your choice. You can try them both and see how they work for you. The next most important thing is scissors. Whenever all the scissors that you have for sewing, you want to make sure that you only use them for sewing, and that includes pattern making. You do not want to use your scissors for pattern making, only for sewing, cutting fabrics, threads, things like that. So you need a good pair of snips. I just got these Singer snips a couple months back, and these have become a favorite. I'm usually like a mini scissor snip girl, but I've been trying out this one and I really like it. And then you want to get you like some dressmaker shears, really good metal scissors. Fiskars makes really good scissors as well. They have like the kind of plastic handle, but I do really enjoy these. These are Ginger scissors. These ones I got off of Amazon. It was relatively inexpensive and they work really good. I've had these Gingers for years, and you can resharpen them, but in Columbus, Ohio, it's very hard to find a person to sharpen your scissors, believe it or not. But a really good pair of scissors. Never cut fabric or never cut paper or anything else with these. You want to make sure these stay sharp, and do your best, if at all possible, to avoid dropping them. Dropping them on the floor makes these screws kind of get unaligned, a little loose, and it destroys the tips and the edges of your blades, which makes it hard to cut fabric. All of my scissors probably need to be resharpened now because I'm a klutz and I drop them all the time, but if at all possible, avoid dropping your scissors. This will be your best friend. It is a seam ripper. I like this one because it's kind of ergonomic. Like, this is like that soft rubber, but you know the traditional, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. The traditional seam ripper is like a plastic, just straight handle. I like this because it's better in your hand. This is a little soft, so when you're really taking things out, and as a beginner, this will be your best friend. I would get more than one. I actually bought this for my sewing classes, and it came in like a pack of 4. So I really like these ones. And the next thing I'm going to say that you're going to need as a beginner, and there are more things to this list, but these are just the ones for now, is chalk. This here is just regular chalk. This is Crayola Sidewalk chalk. This is Quilter's chalk. I got it from Joann's, and they come in different colors like this. This little tube, will it focus? This little tube is refillable. I have it in yellow, white, pink, and you can get them at Joann's. You can get them online, any quilter store. I really like these for like very precise marking, and this chalk here is for just general marking, things that don't have to be that accurate because it's a blunt tip. that's all I think we need right now for beginning sewing. As we go into future projects, I'll let you know other tools that I think you should get along the way, such as a loop turner, a point turner, but there's ways around using those tools. So if you don't have them, it's okay. Don't feel like you need to get all of those tools at once. I think you can get a lot of beginner projects done just using these. Oh, one last one, a tape measure. Definitely going to need a tape measure, and I'm going to say this is my favorite type of tape measure. It's a double tape measure, meaning that you have this side of your tape, big numbers, and then this is smaller numbers. But this side of tape, if you go all the way to the end, this here is 60, 59. But say you grab this end of your tape, but you actually needed the one, you can just flip it, and the one is on this side instead of having to flip all the way back to the opposite side. They are reversed. So this is 60 on this side, and then the one is on this side. So you can flip back and forth as needed. I really love these tape measures. I don't like to use other tape measures because of that. So tape measure is the last thing that you must have in the beginning. So now that we have all our tools here, we're going to jump right into threading our machine. Okay, here is our machine. Inside this little drawer here, it's where the little accessory kit is. So I'm going to go through what comes with the machine. We have this guy, which is a little screwdriver. This screwdriver is used to change your needle. Sometimes we might need to take off our throat plate down here. So that's what this is used for. It comes with some feet. This here is a buttonhole foot. A button foot. This here is a zipper foot. And then the machine comes with your kind of universal foot. It comes attached to the machine. It looks kind of like that. And then there is a buttonhole foot. So these are all types of feet that your machine can use to sew different things. It also comes with this pin here. So this machine has the ability to do 2 needle or 3 needle. So you can pop this guy in the top there to have a second place to put thread. It comes with this brush, and it's used to clean out of the feed dogs, and if you take your plate off, to clean from under there. It also has like a built-in seam ripper. We always need a seam ripper. Oops. It also comes with this little felt spool cap holder, like guide, I guess. And then there's this spool cap on one side, and my thread is rolling on the floor. There we go. A spool cap here and a spool cap here, and I'll grab my thread in a second. But this spool cap here is just made to keep your thread from pulling off the machine, and you would just use it depending on what size thread that you're using. It also comes with some needles. You'll see there. Oops, maybe not. You'll see there it comes with some replacement needles if you need them. And then it comes with this little wire guy. This thing is made to, if you're sewing something that has like a wider, fabric here, you can use this here to help you, like, as a guide to keep your fabric straight. And those are like all the important things that came inside the machine. They all come in this little bag. And this machine came with some extra feet. So like a blind hem, easy sew foot, an over edge foot, and a blind hem foot, if I didn't say that already. But I'm not going to go through those because those are very specific. So I'm just going to take my little goodie bag. Let's see if I can get it back in there. Yeah. Okay. There. So all of my goodies are back in there. So now we're going to go into our machine. So at face value, this is our sewing machine. Oh, I put my foot that we need. Not this one. 1 second, guys. There we go. I put the foot back in there. We need this one. You need at least 1 foot to sew. You cannot sew without a foot. So put this back in here. There we go. So at face value, this is our machine. Your machine has a few knobs, which I'll go over really quickly. This is our stitch length. It determines how long our stitches are. 0 to 1 being used for a buttonhole, which is illustrated by that image right there. But 1 being the smallest, 4 being the biggest. Zoom in a bit so you can see that a little better. So 1's here, 4's here. It's just a knob and it turns left to right. This down here are all of your stitches. So we have a straight stitch, we have a zigzag stitch, there's like a blind hem, there's some decorative things, and there's a buttonhole. Whenever you want to use one of these, you just turn your wheel left and right, and that's how you adjust which stitch your machine is going to do. If you turn her to the side, this here is your hand wheel. The hand wheel controls the needle. So you always want to make sure you're turning this hand wheel towards you. So you turn it down like this, and it makes your needle go up and down over here. You can use this to get very precise placements when it comes to lowering your needle. Also on this side of the machine, we have our on and off switch, and we have our power cord. Our power cord just slides right in, push it till it's snug, and then the other half of this plugs into a standard plug. This here is our sewing area. This is our sewing area, so your fabric will go in and out from here. Move you in a bit. This right here is our third plate. As you can see here, there are numbers or fractions here to tell you what is the distance between your needle and these lines. So that would be the edge of your fabric. That would be what is determined as your seam allowance, which we'll talk about in other videos. This is your needle. This is your needle bar up here. This is the needle screw. It's how you take the screw out. This is your presser foot right here. And I'll flip her to the back, but you can see this is your presser foot here. It lifts up and down. Underneath your presser foot is your feed dogs. This clear top right here is where your bobbin goes. We want to pull this little black lever out. That's where your bobbin goes. This is like the bobbin case. I will show you on the back, but there's a little lever here, and that's how you take off this foot or change this foot. This machine specifically comes with a needle threader, which is this guy right here. I don't necessarily use the needle threader. I just like to thread my machine by hand, but if that's your cup of tea, you can use the needle threader. There is also, on this side, there's a little knife here that you can use to cut your thread. So now we're going to move to the top of the machine. Alright, here's the top of the machine. Adjust her a little bit. There we go. This is the top of the machine. So we have 3 dials here. This one is the width. This width controls how wide these decorative stitches are down here. So say for instance you do a zigzag, this will tell you how wide or narrow your zigzag is. This one here is your needle position, and it tells you right there. You can move this one left to right, and it will move your needle left, right, center. As a beginner, don't think you need to bother that much. This here is your stitch tension. It controls how tight or loose your threads are going through the machine. I like to tell my students not to bother this, leave it alone. But if something happens and this gets moved, you have 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it goes all the way up. But you want to make sure that for standard sewing, you see where these lines are. There's 2 lines there. You want to make sure you're staying somewhere in that area for basic sewing. So if something happens, it gets moved and it ends up on 8, you can be like, oh, I need to go back and find the lines. There it is. I put this here. This is your bobbin. It doesn't go there. This is your bobbin. It goes down here, right into there. But first, we have to put thread on it. But this is your bobbin. This is your bobbin winder right here. It is activate it by pushing this little bar left and right. This is your bobbin tension wheel for when you're adding thread to your bobbin. So the first thing we're going to do is add thread to our bobbin. Each sewing machine always needs 2 threads. You need a top thread and a bottom thread. We'll add thread to our bobbin so that we can put it in the bottom, and then we'll thread our machine so that we have a top and a bottom thread. Alright, so here is my spool of thread. I'm going to use white for this. We're going to pop our thread onto our thread stand right there. Just slide it right on. Anytime we start to thread this, we always have to hit number 1. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Alright, so we're going to start with number 1 and take our thread. I like to hold it with 2 fingers like this so that it's taut. And we're going to go and we're going to snap it onto number 1. Then this here is our tension disc for our bobbin. And you see there's a diagram right here. So we're just going to follow that. I like to put my finger there to hold this so that it's tight. And we're going to pull it under the disc. We want to make sure it's in between there and pull it around like that. Then we're going to take our bobbin. Our bobbins have holes in them. And they're right there on the top. And you want to take the end of your thread and go inside, out, like this. You want to make sure your thread's coming out the top. And then we're going to put it onto the bobbin winder right here, like that. And then you're going to hold this. You're going to click this over so that it's activated. And then you're going to push the foot pedal so that this will start spinning. But you want to make sure you're holding this up, otherwise this will get tangled up in here and you don't want that bird's nest. Okay, I just turned my machine on. I'm going to hold my thread and push down on my foot pedal. Oh, also I realized I didn't tell you where the foot pedal is. The foot pedal is attached to the machine where you hit the plug. It looks like this. And to make this go, you literally just push this. Like so, like that. If you hold that string pretty tight, it will break off. It's supposed to break off. If it don't break off all the way, you can just cut this. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And you can fill this up. You keep spinning this all the way, it will stop once it gets full. We're going to stop it there, and we're going to cut our thread. And make sure you deactivate the bobbin winder by pushing this out. We're going to take this off, and then we're going to pop this right into here. So we're just going to take it, have some thread left over, and just push it into there until we're ready for it. Our next step is to thread the actual machine. These machines have numbers. So there's a 1 here. Not sure how visible that is. There's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 4, and then there's a 5 right there. And then 6 is back down at the needle to be threaded. So let's go through those steps really fast. Okay, that's better. I did something to the lighting, so I have to try to fix that. So this is number 1 right here. Again, I like to hold it right there so that I have a little tension here with the thread. We're going to go around the back of this little bar right here. Give you a little preview. There's a bar right here. We're going to pull this thread around just like that. We're going to go down through this slit right here for number 3. And then we're going to go up for number 4. So this is 3 and 4 is down here. And I go down and up. We're just following the numbers and the arrows. So there's a little lever right here. You can't see it right now. So if you're here and you can't see it, your hand wheel's on this side. You're going to pull this up till your little silver guy pops up. And you're going to follow the direction of the arrow here. And then go from this side to this side. Pull down. You want to make sure that it gets all the way in that little circle right there. You want to make sure it gets all the way in there. Once it's in there, you're going to pull straight down like so. There's your thread guide right there. You're going to pull this around the thread guide like that. And then we are going to thread our needle. Just like that. This thread's a little long. I'm going to clip it. So now our needle is threaded and our bobbin is sitting inside the case. So this is a very hard part to show on video, but if you zoom in, there is a little slit right there. So we're going to take this thread and we're going to pull it right underneath that part. So I'm going to try to do it again. We're going to pull it right under that metal piece. So then we're going to leave that there, and then we're going to grab this top part. This next part, I like to refer to it as called going fishing. So we're going to hold this, and we're going to take this hand and go to our hand wheel on the side of our machine. Turn your wheel towards you. Your needle will go down. And you're going to turn it all the way until your needle comes all the way up while still holding this thread. And when you do that, you can see there's a thread there. It's pulling that bottom thread out the top. So now we have two threads above the throat plate. You can only sew when you have two threads above the plate on the top. So I'm going to do that one more time. I know that's the part that get a lot of people tricked up. We're going to take our bobbin, put it in there. Sometimes it's easy to hold this. You're going to take this and you're going to put it into that little slot right there. You hold it and then slide that thread right through that little crevice. You're going to hold your top thread. Leave the bottom thread there, let it hang. Take your hand wheel, put the foot down. It's a little easier when your foot is down. Take your hand wheel, turn it all the way till the needle goes down and up, all the way up one time, and it will pull out your bobbin thread. Once your bobbin thread is pulled out, you can take the lid to your bobbin case and put that back in. It's a little easier with the foot up. My bobbin case, there we go. So now we have a bottom thread and a top thread. The next step would be, you want to make sure that these threads are under the foot. This is the presser foot, its job is to press, so you want to make sure that it is holding your thread down. Otherwise, when you get ready to start sewing, it will pull your thread out the needle and you'll have to rethread your machine. So to do that, you're going to take these two threads, pull it under here so that it's under the foot, and pull it towards the back, and then we're going to let our foot down. And I didn't show you the back of the machine, so I'm going to show you that now. Alright, this is the back of your machine. This is your presser foot level. Pick your foot up and down. This is your presser foot lever right here. Pick your foot up and down. If you have another sewing machine, sometimes this lever is here on the inside, and it goes the same way up and down, and lift your foot up and down. If you ever need to change your foot, for this machine specifically, this is the bar that releases your foot. So if you raise your foot using the lever, and hit that guy right there, it will release your foot. And then to put this foot back on, you're just going to put it underneath there. There's a little curve right there. Get a good view, curve right there. And there's a bar right here on, right there on your foot. So you're going to line that curve up in that bar and just lower the presser foot on top. So let me move this one right there. So you'll see the bar and the hook are closely aligned, and then I'm going to start lowering the foot, and it snaps right back on, just like that. And anytime you do that, you want to make sure you take that thread, put it back underneath the foot, so both threads are coming to the back under the foot, and put that foot down so that it will hold the threads. It's important to have about 3 to 4 inches of thread behind your foot so that it doesn't pull out when you get ready to sew. And I do want to show you in action. This here is your little knife. If you pull your threads like that, it will cut them. Then back under the foot, foot down. Oh. Okay, so the last thing I have not shown you on this machine is the reverse lever. Anytime you sew, you have to back stitch, otherwise your seams, your stitches will come out. So to back stitch, you hold this button down, press your foot pedal to start sewing. So 3 stitches back, let it go, and then continue to sew. So you're going to sew 3 stitches forward, hold this guy down, 3 stitches back, let it go, continue your seam. When you get to the end, all the way to the edge of your fabric, you're going to hold this down to reverse 3 stitches, let it go, and then re-sew to the end to secure your seam on both sides. So I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to wrap up this video because that was a lot of information. Alright, I have 2 pieces of fabric here. I'm just going to put them together so we can do a seam, our first stitch. So I'm going to take these guys, and I am going to line them up on the 5/8 line here on the machine. I'm going to do my best to try to zoom in so you can actually see that 5/8 line. It's a little hard to see. So this is the 5/8 line right there. I'm not sure how well that's going to come out on the camera, but that's the 5/8 line. I'm going to line my fabric so that it's right about level with the bar. There's a bar right there where the needle bar joins the foot. Try to keep my edge of my fabric right there. So, zoom out a bit. So, we are going to put our needle down. And I am going to sew 3 stitches forward. I'm just turning my hand wheel right now, and then I'm going to push down. Come out so you can see. I'm going to hold this down, and then I'm going to use my foot pedal to the back stitch, and then I'm going to hold my foot pedal down. I like to use the SpongeBob analogy of like big toe. It's like driving a car. You want to press it very softly. If you floor it, your machine is going to go super fast. So you're going to push it very slightly. Your goal is to have this line stay aligned with your stitch line. Keep your fingers away from the needle, and then get to the end, and then you're going to, and then that is it. So here is my seam. I don't know if that's going to focus for me, but you can see here, this is the seam, this is the edge, and this is 5/8 in between. So stitches right there, 5/8 seam allowance, and this is the edge of my fabric. You open this up, there is my seam. You open this side, this is my seam allowance, which you can open just like that. So that is our first seam. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching day 2 of learning how to sew in 2 weeks. That was a lot of information. That was a lot of detail. Feel free to slow it down if I was going too fast. Please give me some comments. So if you're like, hey, I need to see this part again in more detail, I'm here to help you guys learn how to sew and understand what works best for y'all. So please leave me comments. Please leave me feedback. I'm very much looking forward to it. And your homework for today is to practice threading your machine, troubleshooting any issues, and sending feedback if you have issues that you need to troubleshoot, and practice sewing on some fabric. So for this one seam that I did, I just used 100% cotton. You use Quilter's cotton. Go to Walmart, Joann's, and just buy a little swatch of cotton fabric and just practice sewing some stitches. Get the feel and the speed of your machine, and then tomorrow we'll move on to day 3. Thank y'all so much for watching. Until next time, bye!